Valorant just launched an update today that brings some pretty big agent changes, a brand new skin line, and more. So let's break that all down really quickly. We're actually going to start with the skin line, which is the Reverie skin line. It is a pretty basic skin line with no variants and no special effects, but it has a Classic, a Phantom, a Marshal, a Guardian, and a Sword. And you heard me right, there are no variants, so that does mean while there is an orange Classic and a blue Guardian, you cannot get a blue Classic or an orange Guardian. It's this kind of stained glass skin, which I think looks really cool, but again, there are no effects, so I don't really see this being all that popular. Overall, it's interesting, and it is one of the better looking non-effect skins, but I don't think it, makes the cut for a lot of people. Next, we have the agent changes, which I think are the biggest thing we're seeing this week. The first one is going to be to Killjoy, and I think a lot of people saw this coming. Killjoy has been very dominant ever since Chamber's nerf, but basically what they're doing is they are reducing the health of her turret from 125 to 100, so it's just going to be a little bit easier to kill. It's essentially an unarmored player. Then they're increasing the ult points needed for her ultimate to 8. This is following a very similar decision to Breach and Fade, where their ults are site-wide. Some ults are very, narrow in usage. Killjoy, Fade, Breach, they can make pushing sites very, very easy, and so they do up that to 8. I do think that was the most oppressive part of her kit, and so seeing that it's going to be a little bit harder, and you're going to see it happen a little less often, is pretty good to see. Next, we have Raze, and this is one that I wasn't expecting. Essentially, they are reducing the Boombot's max time from 10 seconds to 5 seconds, meaning you're going to put it out, and then 5 seconds later, it will, go away. This is actually a pretty big deal, but I think it makes a lot of sense. Duelists are not meant to be long-range or large area recon masters, which is kind of what the Boombot did. Instead, what they're supposed to be is, very self-sufficient. So she can get the info for her quick little pushes, but isn't necessarily going to be able to clear half the map with one ability, and I think that's a really good thing to see, as much as it does kind of suck. Raze is one of the best duelists in the game. I don't think this will necessarily change that much, but I do think it will change how you use her Boombot, and it'll be a little bit more selfish, which I think fits the duelist role better. The last thing is actually a buff, and it's to Sage, Neon, Yoru, and Jet, and it's a very small buff. Essentially, they are changing the models of these characters to have their hair be a little bit shorter. It used to be that you could see the top of Sage's head, and Jet, and Neon, and Yoru above certain boxes, and that should happen way less frequently now, so their headline should be more consistent with the other characters in the game, which is always good to see. There have been times in pro games where the fact that someone is playing Sage has gotten them headshot through, the corner of a box or the top of a box, and this should reduce that. All right, the last major thing is Swiftplay. Swiftplay launched back in December in a beta state. They are officially taking it out of beta, and while nothing is changing, they are announcing that Swiftplay is here to stay permanently, which is really, really great to see. It's the better Spike Rush, and so I'm glad to see that we'll be able to keep playing it, even as, it changes and evolves in the future. They're not going to be rotating it out like they did with things like Snowball Fight or Replication. All right, that's pretty much it for this patch. If you found this video useful, hit that like button and subscribe. I will see you guys in the next one.